shares of Skyfleet stock.
Sir, you must know you're betting against the market. No one expects this stock to go anywhere but up.
Just do it.
Hello, Vicky here, and welcome to another edition of the Bond Room Unlocked, whereby I'll be inviting you to turn the key with me on my 26-year-old Bond collection and Bond villain, Le Chiffre. So what did we know about actor Mads Mikkelsen before he appeared in the 2006 film Casino Royale, which was Daniel Craig's first outing as our super spy? Very little globally, actually. He was a gymnast and a dancer before his fame in Denmark rose, and then he worked on smaller film projects within the Danish market.
Hey Vicky, thank you for having me again. Oops, I seem to have something. The weeping comes from the derangement of the tear duct, my dear Vicky. Nothing sinister. Speaking of sinister, we're going to be looking at this guy. The character of Le Chiffre, played by the great Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen, who starred as the Bond villain in Daniel Craig's very first outing, Casino Royale.
So Le Chiffre, the cipher, the number, is a maths genius and an expert poker player. He's a banker to terrorist organisations and toys with their ill-gotten gains by manipulating stock. He's good. He's very good, and never contemplates losing until Bond gets in his way.
Should we up the blind?
Why not? Bet.
Raise.
Le Chiffre is portrayed as having blood weeping from his left eye. This is a condition caused by a damaged blood vessel. Let's listen to what Mads Mikkelsen has to say about the character.
I did come up with a backstory. I have to do that every time I do something, and I will share some of it. I think he's probably an orphan. We don't know where he's from, Albania, Montenegro, somewhere. And he wasn't the biggest kid on the street, so I'm sure he had a little pocket knife, and at a certain point it landed in his own eye. So that explains the scar as well.
There's another favourite villain of mine that has a scar too.
Casino Royale and a rebooted James Bond enters the world of gritty darkness, of terrorism and torture. And out of this world of immoral ambivalence springs a sinister and complex antagonist by the name of Le Chiffre, which translates as the cipher or the number. Le Chiffre is a banker for the world's terrorists, a shadowy figure for the 21st century, but at the same time still encapsulates the essence of the original Ian Fleming creation in the novel. Le Chiffre is a classic Bond villain in many ways. He's a sadistic control freak who is indifferent to suffering, a mathematical genius who loves to show off at games of chance, a ruthless profiteer who dresses immaculately, and let us not forget that we have the physical disability of the blood leaking from his eye.
As Martin has pointed out, Le Chiffre is immaculately dressed, spending other people's money no less. Interestingly, Mikkelsen would go on to play another iconic character with impeccable dress sense, Hannibal Lecter, in the TV series Hannibal that ran from 2013 to 2015. Now, this character would certainly give Bond a run for his money in the suit department. I personally love Le Chiffre. He's in my top 5 villains, just because he doesn't have to say a lot to convey a mood.
I personally do think Le Chiffre was one of the best Bond villains. He definitely was a worthy opponent to Bond, but and as it turns out, he definitely would help the story. As it turns out, we would find out later on he was just a small fish in a big pond. As we would later come to find out, he was part of the sinister organization we know as Spectre.
But what I love about Le Chiffre is that this is not a character who loves to stroke a cat or has women painted gold. No, he may be the main villain of the story of Casino Royale, but in fact he is actually nothing but a henchman. In many ways he's out of his depth as he pits his wits against James Bond, and as his schemes unravel, we begin to see his fear, his anger, and his weak and cowardly character. His response to Urbano's attack on his girlfriend is a demonstration and a case in point of this unique weakness in a James Bond villain.
Not a word of protest. Should find a new boyfriend.
Ultimately, Le Chiffre only cares about himself and what is in it for him. He believes he has the power and the luck, but sometimes that luck runs out, and as Martyn will now explain, his failure affects the failure of others.
Ultimately, Le Chiffre is a thread in a web of greater villainy. He leads us into the world of Spectre, and who knows where that will end.
Tell them I'll get the money.
Money isn't as valuable to our organization as knowing who to trust.
Such a complex character and such a great character, and I'm glad that American company Funko Inc. included this Bond villain in their range of vinyl figures. The company was founded in 1998 by Mike Becker in Washington, making at that time coin banks. In 2005, Becker sold Funko to Brian Mariotti, who expanded the company. And in 2011, pop vinyl figures were appearing on shelves and taking the toy market by storm all over the world, and in all sorts of ranges of TV shows and films, both from the past and the present. In 2019, a range of Bond characters were introduced, from Bond to Oddjob to Blofeld and his cat. And here I have a 2020 edition of Le Chiffre. And as you can see, we've got Pop Movies 007, and this is number 692 in the series. We have a caricature of Le Chiffre there with the blood in his eye and the name of the character. And if we have a better look at the character itself, there we go, we have the eye, and he's also holding the rope which he uses to torture Bond towards the end of the film. And on the back of the packaging here, we also have a number of other Bond characters that you can get. Just for example, James Bond from Quantum of Solace, Baron Samedi from Live and Let Die, Eve Moneypenny from Skyfall. So yeah, I was really pleased that they started to bring these out. My only downside with these characters is that they do seem to bring out a lot of the same character. So there's a lot of Daniel Craig in different suits, where we have got so many wonderful characters across the franchise, really interesting characters which could be brought to life. Have you got any of these pop vinyl figures, not just of Bond, but from any other TV show or film that you like? Please drop me a comment in the box below after the video has ended. If you have enjoyed this brief look at Le Chiffre, then please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. And why not subscribe? It's fun. You can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram, and catch me co-hosting with Tom Pizzato and Dan Silvestri on spymovienavigator.com, cracking the code of spy movies. So check out those podcasts. I'd like to thank Clinton and Martyn for their valued input into today's episode.
Vicky, I want to thank you once again for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and thank you for all that you do on this channel. Goodbye for now, and keep on bonding.
And I'd like to thank you for joining me as we look at these items in this Bond room and relate them to the films that we know and love. I'll leave you now with those Bond actors, those who have left us and those who remain, who have celebrated a birthday this week. See you soon.